Good morning. This is NAGAVENI working in JNTUA. So let us discuss some presentation or seminar about the mutual fund and its type. So why we need to learn mutual fund? Number of investors who are willing to invest in different avenues. So avenues like there will be bonds, shares, debentures, mutual funds. So there are n number of avenues which are available in the market. But why do we prefer mostly mutual funds? Because when you are investing in mutual funds, there are number of options. Like in which scheme you are going to invest. So what happens if you invest in so many schemes? So and you will be having options, choices. So if you invest in one scheme, so there will be availability of n number of schemes. So where to invest? So like this, there will be no confusions for an investors who prefer mostly for investing in the mutual funds. So that is why we should know more about the mutual funds. So what is a mutual fund? So mutual fund is it is a trust where pooling of number of investors. Means number of investors means so there will be number of investors who are willing to invest in any of the schemes. So the fund manager has to collect all these money or the investment from all the investors, and they will invest in any of the schemes or in any of the avenues. So next we will know what are different types and meanings. So it is the trust that pulls together the savings of number of investors who share a common financial goal. What is the financial goal of every investor? To earn the money, So if you start business, so your motive is to earn money or to get profit. So if you invest in any securities or in any avenues, your motive is to earn money. So for this financial goal, we are going to invest in any of the investment avenues. So that is why we are choosing the mutual fund. Mutual fund is the meaning like it is a trust that pulls together the savings of number of investors. Number of investors means there will be no limit for investors who invest in different schemes. But whereas if you compare with the company wise, there will be some limitations towards the investors. But according to the investing in investors, mutual funds, so there will be no limitation where to invest and in how many schemes you are going to invest based on the date of birth, based on your age. So upon all these criteria, considering all these criteria, so the investors have to choose their specific or their eligible scheme which is useful. Like for example, if you take children, so there will be some related schemes for children. If you take the old people like retired employees, so for them there are some special kind of mutual fund schemes. For the other investors who are having the age in between 18 to 50, 18 to 40 like that, so there will be some different schemes, so in which you are going to invest. So the money thus collected is then invested in capital market instruments such as shares, debentures and other securities. So whatever the amount that was collected from the investors, that has to be invested in any of these avenues. So what we call these shares, debentures and other securities. Other securities are nothing but shares, debentures, bonds, equities. So all these comes under other securities. So wherever you feel free, means wherever you know about the market situation, market condition, about the company's situation, company's profit. So then you can able to understand the market and you can invest in any of the securities. So coming to history of the Indian mutual fund industry. So history of mutual fund industry, when it was started, and with what whose help the industry has come into existence, has entered into India, into our country. The mutual fund industry in India started in 1963 with the formation of Unit Trust of India at the initiative of Government of India and Reserve Bank. So it was started in the year 1963 with the Unit Trust of India, with the taking the initiation of Government of India and RBI. The history of mutual funds in India can be broadly divided into 4 distinct phases. So wherever you know about the mutual fund, so firstly we should know about what are the different phases, how it has came into existence, how it has entered into the country. The first phase, it was started in the year 1964 to 1987. So in this, the Unit Trust of India was established on 1963 by an Act of Parliament. It was set up by the Reserve Bank of India and functioned under RBI. So first it was started with the help of Unit Trust of India, which was established in the year 1963 with the Act of Parliament. So it was started with the help of RBI and also Government of India under the regulatory of Reserve Bank of India. The first scheme launched by UTI was Unit Scheme 1964. So at that time, the first scheme in mutual fund industry was started by UTI, that is Unit Trust of India, and in the year 1964. By the end of 1988, UTI had rupees 6,700 crores of assets. So at that time only it has gained 6,700 crores in the schemes of the mutual funds, and it has gained a lot of profits and earnings for the country. Second phase, coming to second phase in 1987 to 1993. Here the entry of public sector funds means public companies related securities and mutual funds has been entered into the mutual fund industry in the second phase. 1987 marked the entry of non-UTI public sector mutual funds set up by public sector banks and life insurance corporation of India. So here we can observe all the only public sector related government institutions only. So there is no entry for the private sector units or private sector companies. SBI mutual fund was the first non-UTI mutual fund established in June 1987. This was the first one. And in the third phase, 1993 to 2003. So here the entry of private sector. So including public and also especially most of the private sector units have been entered in this third phase. So in 1993 was the year in which the first mutual fund regulations came into being, under which all mutual funds except UTI are to be registered under the government. So in 1993 only, so the first mutual fund regulations came into being, and except UTI, others have to be registered and governed under the mutual fund industry. And fourth phase, so this was still running and it is continuing for further aspects. The second is a UTI Mutual Fund Limited sponsored by SBI, PNB, BOB and LIC. So it is registered with SEBI and functions under the mutual funds. So it has some regulations and it has some rules which were followed by especially the SEBI, that is the Securities Exchange Board of India, which is regulated and which is formulated for the mostly for mutual fund schemes. Coming to the flow chart of mutual funds, how the flow chart, that is it will be like rotating as the cycle will be rotating like. So first the investors have to pull their money with the fund manager, means they have to invest their money or the capital in different securities. So with the help of the fund manager, they have to pull the money. So from whom? From the investors. Again this fund manager will invest these money in different securities, like in different securities or in different other investment avenues. So after investing in the securities, once if you invest your money, what happens in any securities? So you will gain some profits or returns. So that will be generated in the form of returns wherever you invest. So what happens with that returns, again it will be passed back to the investors. Means if you have invested some 5,000 rupees in any of the schemes in mutual fund industry with the help of the fund manager, what the fund manager do? He invests in any securities. So at the time or at the end of the maturity period, so you will get some returns. So that returns will be distributed to the investors again. Again the investors, what they will do? Again they will invest in the in different securities with the help of fund. Like this the cycle will be rotating like this one. So this is the flow chart of mutual fund. Next, types of mutual funds. Mutual funds are classified or divided on the base of two categories. One is according to the maturity period and according to the investment objective. Maturity period means limited duration, limited period of time. So according to maturity period, so it is divided into two categories. One is open-ended and another is closed-ended schemes. According to investment objective means once you invest in any of the schemes, the main objective is only the returns, where you are gaining the returns, in which scheme you are gaining the returns. Equities, balance funds, gilt-edged funds, market
Index.
So these are different types of investment objective related schemes. So what is open-ended scheme and closed-ended scheme? A mutual fund scheme can be classified into open-ended and closed-ended. This is according to maturity period. Maturity period is nothing but certain period of time, certain duration. Means if you are having the duration of 3 months, so in this 3 months only you have to enter into the market or enter into the scheme. So by the end or by the close of that scheme, you have to close that scheme and you have to get rid of from that. So coming to open-ended scheme, this open-ended mutual fund is one of the scheme which is available for subscription and repurchase of continuous basis. Means there will be some continuous basis. There will be no particular restriction to close the scheme. So it is open for everyone. So these funds do not have a fixed maturity period. So there will be no fixed maturity period in open-ended schemes. There will be like a continuous process. Means once you enter into the scheme, so you can be going on investing and you will be getting the returns. And coming to closed-ended schemes. So this closed-ended schemes, there will be some particular period of time, that is maturity period. So where to end the scheme, when to close the scheme. So there will be some restrictions where you need to follow the closed-ended scheme. So if the time period is 2 months or 3 months, so by that end of that time you may have to close the scheme. So that is under the closed-ended scheme. Next, according to investment objective. A scheme can also be classified as growth fund, income fund or balanced fund and its investment objectives. Growth or equity oriented scheme. Growth is nothing but development. If you particularly choose one scheme which is related to growth scheme, that means that you want to increase the earnings. How to increase the earnings? How to develop your earnings? How to develop your money? So how to circulate your money? How to continue your money for further investment procedures? The main aim of the growth funds is to provide capital appreciation over the medium to long term. So long term, like it is the process of over the period of from 1 year to, it starts from 1 year to up to maximum of 5 years or 10 years. So these funds have comparatively high risks. when you enter into growth schemes, so firstly you have to ready to face the scheme. Means there will be some risks. Where there is high risk, the returns will also high. Next. Income or debt oriented scheme. So in the title itself we can say that income. So whenever and wherever you invest your money, so that shows that your investment has to provide some income. So before the maturity period or before the end of the scheme. The aim of this income funds is to provide regular and steady income to investors. So regularly they will be providing the income. Means it will be like a period of 3 months or 6 months. So for every month up to the maturity period, there will be continuous daily monthly returns for them. Such schemes generally invest in fixed income securities such as bonds, corporate debentures, so government securities. And such funds are less risky. So when you compare with the growth funds, these instruments, that is these securities are having very less risk. Next, balanced fund. The aim of balanced funds is to provide both growth and regular. Means you have to balance. So growth one side and income one side. So you have to balance both on the schemes whatever you invest. So you need to get the income and you need to get the growth. So then only you can balance the schemes. These are appropriate for investors looking for moderate growth. The investors who are looking forward to increase their growth and also besides the income, so they can choose this balanced funds. Coming to advantages of mutual funds, so most of the investors, they know what are the advantages, disadvantages. So if you know that one small quotation, like for every aspect there are both advantages and disadvantages. For even a coin there is a head and tail. So like that, if there are advantages, then definitely there will be disadvantages. So both the advantages and disadvantages tells what about the concern topic or concern scheme. So if you invest in mutual funds, what are the advantages? Professional management. So if there is professional management, like who knows well about or who is having awareness about the mutual fund schemes and mutual fund industry in the organization, so that will be very useful for the investors. So then no need to get the information from any other sources. And next is minimization of risk. So if you know well about the schemes and their maturity periods and their earnings, their profits, you can reduce the risk. Instead of investing in other investment avenues, if you invest in mutual funds, better you can reduce the risk. And return potential. So return potential, you will be getting the return continuously. Every month you will be getting the returns. If wherever you invest in any of the schemes, so definitely you will get some of the returns. And low cost liquidity. So there will be no higher charges or higher cost for the liquidity. So whatever you are having, you can invest. So there will be no specific amount to invest in such quantity, like this much should be only invested. Then we are proceeding to various schemes in India, like coming to various mutual funds which are rotatingly, which are giving more returns in India. So if you focus some of the mutual fund companies which provides the investors a very beneficial income growth and whatever the investors are in need. So these are some of the mutual fund companies like State Bank of India, ICICI Prudential, Tata Mutual Funds, HDFC Mutual Funds, Birla Sun Life, Reliance, Kotak Mahindra, and not only these, still there are n number of mutual fund companies which provide various benefits for their investors. And coming to conclusion, my best suggestion is when comparing with other money market instruments or other investment avenues, mutual funds are the best investment schemes or avenues where the investors um, daily they can invest in the scheme, in different schemes, whatever I explained in this session. So they can invest in any of these schemes to get high returns or whatever returns, moderate returns or very risk, less risk returns or high, more risk returns. So they can choose in any of the mutual funds to fulfill their needs or to satisfy their needs, and they can fulfill their happiness. So this is about the mutual fund class. Thank you.